Hi, I'm John Sixhawks, and you can call me John. What could be more exciting than the Beatles, the album Revolver, and the song Tomorrow Never Knows? So, this will be my second in a series where I compare different formats, tape, CD, and vinyl records, so that you get a chance to not only listen, but also to look at and compare the different formats of the recording of that specific song. So let me show you my sources, starting chronologically with 1967. This is my Capitol mono release that I bought as a young teenager. Following that, in 1970 is the reissue on 8-track tape. Following that, 1987 on CD for the first time. And then fourth and last is the 2014 mono reissue. So all of these will be in a 24-bit 96 kilohertz wave file that I'll put posted down below in the links where you can go and listen to them. I encourage you to download and listen before you continue with the video and all the details that follow. They are large files, so give it time to download. It may take several minutes. So let's get started. Just a side note, my speaker system has a subwoofer, and I definitely have a much different audio experience with that as I listen through my speaker system. So if you do have a subwoofer, there's definitely an advantage to hearing the full frequency range of each of these four recordings. So let's get started with the equipment. If you haven't seen an earlier format shootout, here's the equipment that I use as a chain of recording to get each of the formats into a 24-bit 96 kilohertz format that you're able to listen to. Starting on the left, you can see my three players from an 8-track tape player, a Blu-ray player for playing CDs, and at the bottom left, my Technics turntable, an Ortofon 2M Blue cartridge and stylus. I feed that all into a Mackie mixer. I try to keep all the settings on that neutral or in unity. So the volume differences are just based on the different recording formats. You may have to adjust your volume as you compare one format to another as you listen. That goes all through my M-Audio Delta 44 professional audio card, and I then record it into Cakewalk Sonar. At this point, I hope you've taken the time to download and listen to all four recordings to get your impressions. And so now what I will do is take you on a journey of what the audio recordings look like in a spectrogram. And at the bottom of the screen, it basically defines for us the spectrogram view, and the vertical axis, the axis that goes up and down, displays frequency in hertz, with the higher frequencies at the top and the lower frequencies at the bottom. For example, I've identified a few things in the top half of the spectrogram of things that you might be familiar with, like the Sgt. Pepper's Day in the Life dog whistle, which records at 15 kilohertz, which most humans can't hear, but I think it's been called the dog whistle. The human voice can get up into the 10,000 kilohertz range, all the way down into the low 100s. I also labeled where the snare drum might be in the frequency range, the bass guitar. And to the left of that, those who have musical instruments that they tune up, like guitars. A is at 440 hertz, and so it's located in the lower end of the hertz spectrum. And then at the far left is the range of piano, which goes down to a very low frequency all the way up into close to 7,000 or 8,000 kilohertz. Now, also, you can see that in the definition it describes time, and so you would read time from left to right. So a 3-minute song would start at your left and go all the way across and end at 3 minutes on the far right. But also, what's neat about a spectrogram is that it also represents amplitude, or you could say volume. So the brighter the color, like yellows and whites, that has a greater volume or amplitude. When you get in the oranges, that has lesser amplitude, and into the cooler range color like blues, if you look closely at this spectrogram above 15 kilohertz in the top or bottom spectrograms, you can see that it's starting to turn a darker color, so it has lesser amplitude in those ranges. So let's take a look at the spectrograms. So introducing the spectrograms, this time I will go through each of the 4 spectrograms for about 5 or 10 seconds just to give you a visual overview, and then we'll take a look at them in a little more detail. So we are looking at the first of 4 images. This is from the 24-bit 96 kilohertz recording of the Beatles' Tomorrow Never Knows from the 1967 mono Capitol vinyl. I've labeled for you in the top half the 30 kilohertz mark, which again is well above most, if not all, human hearing. But there is audible recordings in a vinyl record that go into the 30 kilohertz range. Now, since it is a mono recording, the bottom image is identical to the top image because they're both getting the same signal. Here we're looking at the 1970 8-track tape of the Beatles' Tomorrow Never Knows. I've marked off where the 10 kilohertz is. It's pretty obvious in an 8-track tape that there's a cutoff there, and they've eliminated the high frequencies. I found that to be true to every 8-track tape that I've analyzed so far, is there's definitely a cutoff. Some companies cut it off at 10 or 12 and sometimes even 15 kilohertz. Here is the 1987 CD recording of the Beatles' Tomorrow Never Knows, and I've labeled where the 20 kilohertz is. You can see it's a well-defined cutoff at the 20 kilohertz range. If you look at the bottom of the screen, I think you'll see in the past as well as the next and current spectrogram is you'll see that drone, the raga drone at the very low frequencies that seem to be pretty constant, like Ringo's rhythmic drumming that he does throughout Tomorrow Never Knows. And here's the 2014 mono vinyl release of the Beatles' Tomorrow Never Knows. And I've marked a 30 kilohertz cutoff, much like the 1967 Capitol mono. This too is a mono recording, but you can see there's still audible sound, even though it has very low amplitude above 20 kilohertz. all the way into the 30 kilohertz range. Again, I don't know if human hearing can even hear that high a frequency, but there is audio data on a vinyl record that goes into that range. So let's move on and take a closer look where you can go back, listen to the audio, and look at each individual spectrogram as you listen. So in conclusion, I'm surprised to say I enjoyed listening to all 4 formats. They all seem to have a little bit different flavor to Tomorrow Never Knows. I hadn't mentioned it before, but maybe some of you caught it, is that the 8-track tape is in stereo. The CD recording is in stereo. And the 2 vinyl recordings are in mono. So it does make a difference. I did enjoy the 8-track tape in stereo because it's different than the CD version. And I got something out of that, a recording, even though the amplitude isn't as loud or potent as the other recordings on it. I enjoyed listening to them all. I think the frequency range of both vinyls are greater. I think there's more richness to the CD one, though it's in stereo again, and so that may influence what it sounded like to me. But it is fun to listen to the 4 versions and then look at the 4 versions and see if what I see matches what I hear. And if it doesn't, I try to figure out what it all means to me. And, the bottom line is whatever format you listen to, if you enjoy the music, and if it's one format or another, or a stereo or mono, you're getting something out of the music. I'm just trying to add like a new perspective to kind of challenge your hearing experience by adding sight with sound. But again, the bottom line is what you enjoy listening to. And if you have any comments, I'd appreciate it. Put it in the comments down below. And I'll be making a few more. I think I have Neil Young, some of his recordings in the queue. I've also already, I started back in July, the Beatles' Day in the Life, and I've got 4 or 5 different formats of that recording to compare. So there's more to come. Thanks for watching, and keep a lookout for future videos. Thank you.